Welcome back to The Inspired Entrepreneur with Heather Hope. Hey guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. This is Heather Hope with the Inspired Entrepreneur podcast. I am just a little bit late today. I was late the other day and here we are again. Okay. I had to wake up early this morning to go do something, and then I came back and went back to bed. Surprise, surprise. Which was really nice. It's Saturday morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday to you. Today's April 10th. And if you're new here, welcome. I don't have my earphones there. They're in the dining room, and I didn't want to go run to get them. So it's kind of strange to record without earphones. So bear with me today. Okay, so update. I did indeed pass my real estate exam yesterday. It was the first try. That's kind of a nice thing, isn't it? Oh, I passed on the first try. You know, I feel weird telling people that, even though it has been, I think, about 20 years or so since I've done this. 20 years is a long time. So I don't feel like I'm a newbie at all of any of this, so I feel kind of weird. But I do understand that a lot of people do have these test anxieties, and they say that they're terrible test takers and all of that. And let me tell you, I really could do videos on how to pass tests with the law of attraction. Now that sounds really weird, but with the law of attraction, because it's like, it sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? But let me tell you something. I told my husband when I got home yesterday, I was like, you know, I could have failed that test. I totally could have. If I was one of those people who identified myself as a terrible test taker. And because, you know, it's 195 questions. It's not really an easy test. I mean, well, a lot of people say it's one of the hardest in the country. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's 195 questions, which I think is cruel and unusual punishment first and foremost, because that's a long time. And there was I had a couple moments during the test of like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm done. I'm just so, you know, just because it takes a long time. And you know, if you run across a couple of questions that you just cannot figure out, like some math, because there was a lot more math on there than there was on my final, a couple of things that I just couldn't figure out. And, you know, you spend a lot of time on one question trying to figure out the math, and you just get tired. It's like a fatigue. It's an energy. So, you know, there was one time I got up and to use the bathroom and just stretch, and I just kept going through, you know, I just kept getting myself back, because I know that I'm a better test taker when I'm in alignment. And I realized this while I was taking practice exams and my final, or actually the practice exams. Anytime I started missing more than like one or two on a practice exam, like we're talking really like 10 question practice exams. That's what I really like doing. Anytime that I was like kept missing questions, it was like, no, I'm not in alignment. It was usually late at night, right before I was about to go to bed. And I was like, no, I'm too tired to take this little test, because I know the answers when I'm in a really good place. Like when I'm feeling really good, when I'm in alignment, it's like I'm on top of it and I know the answers. When I'm out of alignment, when I'm tired, when I'm just like, I just need to go to bed, I will miss the answers. I won't know them. So the most important thing, there's a few, but one of the most important things while taking a test is feeling good, like not getting discouraged, because, you know, our thoughts become things. So we create our reality, right? And I learned so much more about the law of attraction while taking these exams, because it's like, if I sat there thinking, oh my God, I don't know the answers. Oh my God, I suck at test taking. Oh my God, I'm going to fail. I would have failed. I 100% would have failed it yesterday, just because you create your reality by the thoughts that you think currently, like in that moment. So when I hear people say, because there were some people in line waiting to take the exam, and one girl said that she took it the other day and she got a 74. Well, we need a 75 to pass. And she was like really upset. And she comes back and she's standing in line and she's telling the girl in front of her that it's a really hard test. And I'm standing there like, okay, I don't need to hear this because I don't partake in those conversations, period. Like not at all. So I'm steady in my knowledge. Now I study really well. I don't schedule the exam if I don't feel confident that I'm going to pass. And I know that a lot of people are taking the exam a lot. Like they keep failing it. I saw a guy that it was like 21 times he failed. And it's like, wow. And then he passes finally, or whoever. I've seen a lot of people fail the exam a lot of times. And it is going to be a couple of things. One is they identify as being a terrible test taker, that they have major test anxiety, all these things that they label themselves with. And so they can't pass the exam because they're not in vibrational alignment with it first of all. And they just keep putting this, like basically this block wall in front of them by saying those things of like, I'm a terrible test taker. Well, how are you going to pass an exam if you keep saying that you're a terrible test taker? Like it's not vibrational alignment. To be in a vibrational alignment is, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. I can pass this exam. I'm going to pass this exam. I am passing this exam. I'm getting better at this. I'm understanding the concepts. I'm whatever. You have to start believing that it's possible. If you believe that it's impossible, guess what? It's going to be impossible. And that's why, people are taking these exams numerous times and failing them. And so the other thing that I truly believe that I see, is that they schedule the exam before they're ready, just to kind of see if they can just wing it. And if you don't know the material, it's hard. It is hard because, you don't know the material. It's easier to pass an exam when you know the material. Like that seems logical, right? And so I did not do anything until I knew. Like there was a time that it clicked. Now, of course, there's a lot of these concepts that I already knew. I knew them from the past. I knew them from just being involved in real estate. I knew them from just having my own houses and leases and being interested in real estate. Like there's a lot of concepts that I've already been familiar with just from life experience. My experience, my father's experience. He's a real estate investor. And there's a lot of these concepts that they're like, well, you probably won't see this very often in the real world. I see it with my father because he's an investor. Like there's some things that, the average house buyer does not partake in. However, a real estate investor does. So, I can explain a lot of these concepts just because I learned them because I watched my father do them. And so I caught on, and they're concepts that a lot of people don't understand because there's no real world, examples in front of them. So I know those. And then the loan signing training and actually doing loan signing has, while I was doing both courses at the same time, I'm like, loan signing is the entire mortgage, deed, all that area of the real estate portion that, I know that really well. So there's a lot of areas that I know really, really well just from my own experience and knowledge. So I did not do any of these exams until I knew I was ready. And there comes a time when it just clicked. Like if you study enough, there comes a time when it clicks. Like you just start understanding it. And you have to get to that point. It's kind of like a point of believing, like knowing and believing that you know the information. Then you schedule the exam. And I think just too many people are scheduling exams like when they're completing their course. Like, when you complete a course, you think you should be ready. It does not mean that you're ready. So they schedule the exam to see, kind of like, quote unquote, to see if they can pass. And then they back it up with, I'm not really ready, but I'm just going to see if I can pass it and see if I can wing it. And these tests are not really meant to wing. These are not easy tests to just wing it. Not typically. There's a lot of details you need to know or try to understand. So anyway, that's my long talk about passing exams. You have to believe it. You have to speak it into existence that, yes, I am passing this. I walked in with the expectation that I was passing. And then at the end, I took my time. I read every question. I read, I went through half the exam when I was done. And when I was flipping through it, it was like, it looked a lot easier the second time going through than it did the first time. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I passed it. I was pretty sure. There's always those questions that you're just kind of like, well, I kind of think it's this. You know what? There's a lot of questions like that. Like, well, because they're worded interesting, right? They're just different. So I get to, the end, and I was like pretty confident that I passed. I mean, there's that little bit of me that was like, well, I do hope I did pass, and I go out into the lobby to get my results, and he had them upside down, and he just handed it to me, and I look at it and it says pass, and I was like, oh, cool. It was like, it was great. It was great. It was an expectation. It wasn't like this massively exciting event because I had been pre-paving it to happen. So when it happened, when it manifested, right? When a pass manifested, I was like, oh, cool. I was happy. I had heard while I was taking the exam, I heard this woman go out and she just started crying. She was so happy. Like, you can tell she was happy. Like, she was just relieved, happy, shocked that she won, that she passed. And you can tell with a response like that, she must have failed that sucker numerous times, because that's, I hear it all the time, people not passing. I hear it. And I tried to just keep my mind off of it, of like, no, I know enough to pass this exam, but I also know enough about the law of attraction to not think that I'm going to fail. But she was super excited. Now, since yesterday, I've been really relieved. Really, I'm happy. I'm more like, thank goodness. I'm so happy that I passed, because I didn't want to continue doing this. I didn't want to like fail and then keep studying and schedule again. It's like all of that is just like behind me. And I'm like, oh, good. I'm really glad that I can keep moving forward. That's how I feel right now. Of like, yes, I'm super glad that it's over, that part. Anyway, 13 minutes of talking about the real estate exam. You're welcome. But I hope you get something out of that. The other thing is, since we're over here talking about Abraham Hicks and source energy and non-physical and all of that, I know, and I talk to non-physical, we all have access to infinite intelligence, that there's all of these, expert non-physical energies around us, rooting for us, helping us, guiding us, that, before both the final and the licensing exam, I was like, yes, I've got this team of expert real estate people, non-physical, rooting for me. They have the answers. They know it, and I have access to that. So I walked in knowing that I have this, it's more than just me. And so I know, and I kept saying that, I kept pre-paving that I was going to get an easy test. I did that with the final, and it really did happen. I did have a pretty easy final. That an easy meaning that I'm getting questions that I know the answers to. That's what easy means to me. So I pre-paved that I'm going to know these questions. I'm going to know the majority of the questions, the answers. And I did because I passed. So I pre-paved all of that. I did all of that. There was no ounce of anxiety or anything like that. It was just like, it is what it is. I have confidence in my ability. And that just took time, right? So there you go. Let's get into today's topic. Let me pull up my book. Today's April 10th. This one's a long one. So let's get through this. If you're new here, welcome. Yeah. Okay. April 10th. This is from the book, The Inspired Entrepreneur. You can pick it up on Amazon. And here we go. Do you ever have those moments of complete, utter frustration about not manifesting money? I've had those moments, many of them. Then I learned how to get past those moments of almost depression and hopelessness to allow money to come in. It takes stable, ongoing alignment that keeps you going happily. Being able to control my alignment has helped me on the path to increasing money to come in from many places. Get yourself in a better mood as quickly as you can. With each positive thought will bring another positive thought and another. That's the law of attraction with your thoughts. You have to get yourself in a good mood to attract money and clients easily. Okay. So this whole week, we've been talking about alignment. We've been talking about getting into a better feeling place. I mean, we've been talking about that for a long time, but this week in particular, when it comes to money and clients, like, you have to become that magnet. You have to, because if you feel discouraged, like, how do you have a discouraged feeling, an emotion, right? How do you have an emotion? You have a thought that comes in. So if you feel discouraged, then you're having thoughts that are discouraging. And, the past 15 minutes I've been describing how, I didn't feel discouraged before I walked into the exam and I passed the exam. Like, I walked in with super high hopes, at the very least, hope, right? But with an expectation that I'm going to pass. And when you have thoughts of I'm going to pass, what do you think are the emotions? They're not, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, nervousness or anxiety or all of that crap, right? That is super normal. It's way too normal. It's been normalized way too much to feel anxious before something. Like, when I started loan signing, I have not had an ounce of nerves. I had maybe I did have an ounce of nerves, but I got rid of it really quickly because I had a signing with a local politician a couple weeks ago, and the whole thing ended up being really great, which is what I expected. But that was the only moment, just because somebody a little bit more important, local politician, and he was great. His wife was great. Everything was fine. But that was only like a moment. And I was like, I had to keep, using my thoughts to, like, it's going to be great. It's going to be good. It's going to be really cool to meet him. He's got a really cool house, really, really cool house. I'm just in awe of the house. It's pretty cool. I'm more in awe of the house, me being a real estate junkie, than I am really of meeting him. But he was great though. But I love his house and he got such a great deal on it when he did. Anyway, so that was really cool. And the universe really, really was awesome with that, lining that one up, because, meeting a local politician and, seeing his really, really cool house was just such a bonus. It was so cool. So, but otherwise, I don't partake in nerves, because nerves come from thoughts. Like, those nerves, like the emotion comes from thoughts that line up with those emotions, right? So because I don't partake in those thoughts, I don't partake in those emotions. See how that works? I just don't. I have become very, very, very stable with the thoughts that I have, because I know where the thoughts lead. The thoughts lead to emotions. And you know what? I have no time or energy for the crap that I used to think and feel about most of my life. I know I reached my limit a couple of years ago of that crap. And plus what you think, what you feel is what manifests. And so that's why I'm so, like, I say kind of militant of the way that I think, because I'm done with all that. Like, I want to only manifest the greatest life possible. So that's why I've trained myself to think all the time really good thoughts, because the payoff is enormous. An enormous payoff. Like, everything that I want, that's an enormous payoff, and I'm all for it. Okay, so let's get back to our message for today. Let me read through part of it. That was a long one, right? It's probably the longest one in the entire book. Being able to control my alignment has helped me on the path to increasing money to come in from many places. True, and it gets better and better. Like, money does come in from all kinds of places, and you'll get like so many more ideas of things to do that will bring in money. So get yourself in a better mood as quickly as you can. So, throughout the exam, I was like, okay, let's get back into a good place, because it gets to be a bit. I allowed myself 3 hours. Like, we have 5 hours, so I took 3 hours. It's amazing. It's amazing that I took that long, but I just was like, well, don't need to be anywhere, so I can just get through, take my time. I really took my time. It's probably the longest I've ever took on an exam in my life, but I didn't need to be anywhere. So I was good. I took my time. I read everything because I know that was something that I needed. That was something that was a big deal for me, is reading the entire question, because I used to have a tendency to not, and then I would get the wrong answer because I wasn't fully reading the question. So I knew that was something that I needed to focus on. And I reminded myself, read the entire question, read every answer. Make sure that you understand by, what the answers are saying, what the question is asking, right? And getting rid of a couple of the answers for sure. And then you narrow it down to 2, and then you can figure it out. So, but really get control of your thoughts, because thoughts create emotion. Emotion creates manifestation. It's as simple as that. So you have to not allow your thoughts to go all over the place. That's all. And that just takes time. Okay, guys? Okay, so I'm going to let you go for today, and I will be back tomorrow. And have an amazing rest of your Saturday, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.